ओके सर.
कॅमेरा नाही व्यवस्थित. बरं बरं ठीक आहे, थोडं मागेच राहा.
ओके सर.
ओके ओके ठीक आहे, आता सुरू करा मॅडम, सुरू करा.
हां. आज स्टार्ट करू सर. हॅलो.
सुरू करा ना मॅडम.
Good morning everyone present over here. Myself, Dr. Geetanjali Kore, lecturer, Department of Anatomy from Sri Jagadguru Panchacharya Homeopathic Medical College, Kolhapur. Before starting my session, I would like to express my gratitude towards whole MUHS team and IT team Nashik, and also principal of our college, Dr. Rajkumar Patil sir, who has given me this wonderful opportunity for sharing my knowledge with you. Now I am going to deliver a lecture on anatomy of tongue. We start with introduction. In introduction, the tongue is a muscular organ situated in the floor of the mouth. It is associated with the functions of taste, speech, chewing and deglutition. See here the taste areas on the human tongue: bitter, sour, salty, sweet, etc. Thanks to God for the taste buds that if we see pizza, burger, samosa, pakoda, how you will feel? Getting hungry is flourishing, but one need not be too fussy about the taste of the food, but nutritionally it should be balanced and hygienic. And next function is speech. As the tongue is voluntary in nature and made up of striated muscle, hence it helps in speech. Next is chewing or mastication. Tongue also helps while chewing the food by its movement. And last function is deglutition. Deglutition is nothing but a process of swallowing. Other characteristic feature of tongue are: shape is conical or triangular. See here, the shape of the tongue is conical or triangular and it is covered by the mucous membrane. Voluntary in nature and mass of striated or skeletal muscle. It is voluntary in nature and mass of striated muscle. In short, the tongue is a muscular organ situated in the floor of the mouth. It is covered by mucous membrane, voluntary in nature and mass of striated skeletal muscle. Next, come to the parts of the tongue. There are three parts of the tongue: root, tip and body. See here, this is the root of the tongue, this is the body of the tongue, and this is the tip of the tongue. Body is present in between this tip and the root of the tongue. This is body of the tongue, this is root of the tongue, and this is tip of the tongue. There are three parts of the tongue, or in external features there are three parts of the tongue. This is root of the tongue. See here, this is root of the tongue, this is body of the tongue, and this is anterior free end, which is called as tip of the tongue. So body has a curved upper surface or dorsum. This is upper curved surface or dorsum of the tongue, and behind this there is the inferior surface of the tongue. Now we will see the parts of the tongue in detail. Come to the parts of the tongue. Now we will see root in detail. The root is attached above to the styloid process and soft palate, while it attached below to the mandible and hyoid bone. As the root is fixed, Root is fixed part or attached part, and root is fixed or attached part. Because of this, we cannot swallow the tongue while deglutition, as the bone is fixed. That is, the styloid process, the soft palate, this mandible, and the hyoid bone. These are the bones which are fixed, and hence the root is fixed or swallowed. So we are not able to swallow the tongue itself. Then, if you memorize the root, then remember S, S, and MH. One S for the styloid process, one S for the soft palate, M for the mandible, and H for the hyoid bone. To memorize, remember S, S, M, H for the attachment of the root. Then next part is tip. Tip is nothing but the anterior free end of the tongue, and at rest it lies behind the upper incisor tip. Then come to the dorsum of the tongue. See here the figure showing the dorsum of the tongue. Observe this figure. See here the median sulcus of the tongue. This is the median sulcus of the tongue. I am moving this arrow along this median sulcus of the tongue. This median sulcus of the tongue is also called as median furrow. This is also called as median furrow. I am again moving this arrow along this median sulcus of the tongue, or the median furrow. This median furrow divides the tongue into two equal halves or two equal parts. Okay. Then this is one of the important structure on the dorsum of the tongue is median furrow or median sulcus of the tongue, which is present here. Next important structure over the dorsum of the tongue is terminal sulcus of the tongue, or it is also called as sulcus terminalis. What is the sulcus terminalis? The sulcus terminalis is nothing but a V-shaped structure. I am moving this arrow along this V. See here in the figure, I am moving this arrow along this V-shaped structure called as sulcus terminalis or terminal sulcus of the tongue. This is V-shaped structure. Again, I am telling this is called as sulcus terminalis or terminal sulcus of the tongue. This V-shaped structure divides the dorsum of the tongue into two parts. The part which is present in front of this V, as this is part called as oral part or anterior two-third part, and the part which is present behind this is called as posterior one-third part or pharyngeal part. Okay. Then most important structure on the dorsum of the tongue is foramen cecum. See here, this is V-shaped structure, sulcus terminalis, and the two limbs of the V meet median pit called as foramen cecum. Again, I am repeating, this is foramen cecum. The two limbs of the V meet at a center pit called as foramen cecum. This is our dorsum of the tongue. The important sulcus terminalis. Then come to the next dorsum of the tongue. It is convex in all directions. It is divided into oral part or anterior part or maxillary part, posterior one-third part. Then it is separated by a V-shape called as sulcus terminalis. Here, V-shape called sulcus terminalis. It is already foramen cecum. Foramen cecum. What is the foramen cecum? Thyroid growing. Papillary part. margins of the and this is Indian upper row. Not attached to any bone, not attached to any bone, and comes in contact with some sensory. This is oral part, papillary part of filiform papilla, fungiform papilla, circumvallate papilla, and foliate papilla. This is all about the oral part or papillary part. This is oral part or papillary part. This is pharyngeal part or posterior one third of the part. And this is most posterior part or posterior most part. Part of the stem of the tongue. One is oral part, papillary part or anterior two third of the part. This is posterior one third or pharyngeal part. This is posterior most part. Now we will see the inferior surface of the tongue. Inferior surface of the tongue. See here, this is frenulum, frenulum along this frenulum linguae. This is frenulum linguae. Medial to lateral, lateral frenulum, and more laterally there is plica fimbriata. What is frenulum linguae? On the under surface of the tongue, there is a fold of mucous membrane called frenulum linguae. On either side of the frenulum, there is a prominence. More laterally, there is a fold called as plica fimbriata. Plica fimbriata. So from lateral to medial, medial to lateral, we see that is first is frenulum linguae and other are deep lingual vein and plica fimbriata. Then on either side of the frenulum, there is a prominence produced by the deep lingual vein. More laterally, there is plica fimbriata. What is this plica fimbriata? What is this plica fimbriata? This plica fimbriata is nothing but a fimbriated structure or fimbriated folds of mucous membrane, and hence it is called as plica fimbriata. In short, I am repeating inferior surface of the tongue. It having three important structure. First is frenulum linguae or frenulum, and lateral to this frenulum there is a deep lingual vein, and lateral to the deep lingual vein there is a plica fimbriata. See here, this is plica fimbriata, this is deep lingual vein, and this is frenulum linguae. If you want to see your inferior surface of the tongue after completing my lecture, you just go in front of the mirror, you just open your mouth, you just tilt or roll your tongue and see here the frenulum linguae. What is the frenulum linguae? It connects the inferior surface of the tongue to the floor of the mouth. So here we complete our inferior surface of the tongue, and inferior surface of the tongue consists of three important parts, that is frenulum linguae, deep lingual vein, and plica fimbriata. Now, next, now we will see the pharyngeal part or lymphoid part of the tongue. The pharyngeal part or lymphoid part of the tongue lies behind the palatoglossal arches and sulcus terminalis. The posterior surface called as base of the tongue and mucous membrane has no papillae. Many lymphoid follicles forming lingual tonsils. In pharyngeal part, the most important most important characteristic feature of pharyngeal part is its mucous membrane has no papillae. As we already seen, this is the oral part, and the papillae are present over there in the oral part, but this is pharyngeal part or posterior one third of the part, and mucous membrane has no papillae, but many lymphoid follicles forming tonsils. And what is tonsil? It is nothing but the aggregation of lymphoid follicles. In this posterior one third, the lymphoid follicles are present, and aggregation of this lymphoid follicles over the lingula forming lingual tonsil. Again, I am repeating, the aggregation of this lymphoid follicles on the lingula, it is called as lingual tonsils. When this aggregates, this lymphoid follicles aggregates over the palate, it is called as palatine tonsils. So tonsils are nothing but the aggregation of lymphoid follicles. This complete our pharyngeal or lymphoid part of the tongue. Next, come to the posterior most part of the tongue. Posterior most part of the tongue, this is the posterior most part of the tongue. See here in the figure, this is the posterior most part of the tongue. I am moving this arrow along this part. This is the posterior most part of the tongue. The posterior most part of the tongue is connected to the epiglottis by three folds of mucous membrane. This is posterior most part and this is epiglottis, and see here this is one fold and two lateral folds. There are three folds. One is median glossoepiglottic fold and two lateral glossoepiglottic fold. A median glossoepiglottic fold, glosso is the word for the tongue and epiglottis word for the epiglottis. This is called as median glossoepiglottic fold and there are two lateral glossoepiglottic fold. This median glossoepiglottic fold is present medially and there are two lateral glossoepiglottic fold. One is right lateral glossoepiglottic fold and one is left lateral glossoepiglottic fold. Then vallicula. Vallicula on either side of the median fold there is a depression called as vallicula. See here, this is vallicula. On either side of the median fold, there is a depression called as vallicula. This completes our posteriormost part of the tongue. The posteriormost part of the tongue connected to the epiglottis by three folds. One is median glossoepiglottic fold. This is right lateral glossoepiglottic fold and this is left lateral glossoepiglottic fold. And one more structure, that is vallicula, which is present on either side of median fold. Now, next, papilla of the tongue. The definition of the papilla is these are the projections of mucous membrane which gives anterior two-thirds of the tongue its characteristic roughness. What is the papilla? Papilla are nothing but the projection of mucous membrane which gives the anterior two-thirds of the tongue its characteristic roughness. Then there are four types of papilla: circumvallate papilla, fungiform papilla, foliate papilla, and filiform papilla. See here in the figure, there are four papillas are present. This is circumvallate papilla, filiform papilla, fungiform papilla, and foliate papilla. See, this is sulcus terminalis. This is sulcus terminalis, and in front of the sulcus terminalis, circular papillas are present called as circumvallate papilla. As the name suggests, circum, these are circular in shape. Hence, it is called as circumvallate papilla or only vallate papilla. Then come to the circumvallate papilla. These are cylindrical and large in size, situated immediately in front of the sulcus terminalis. It having 8 to 12 projections, or these are 8 to 12 in numbers, and its walls have test buds. Okay, this completes our circumvallate papilla. Next is fungiform papilla. This is fungiform papilla and situated on the tip of the tongue and also along the margins present over dorsum. Filiform papilla situated on the tip of the tongue along the margins sometimes are present over the dorsum. The size is greater than the filiform papillae but lesser than the circumvallate papillae. This completes our fungiform papilla. Then come to the next, that is filiform papilla. Filiform papilla are nothing but the fine, small, cone-shaped papilla covering the most part of the dorsum of the tongue. See here in the figure, this is filiform papilla, and these are also called as cone-shaped papillae because these are cone-shaped, hence it is called as cone papillae. Then it do not contain test buds. These are the small conical or cylindrical surface projections and it gives velvety appearance to the tongue. Then it gives velvety appearance to the tongue. Then come to the filiform papilla. The important structure piliform papilla are these are fine small papilla covering dorsum of the
Chats are disabled. Chats are disabled. Bro.
मग काय वाईट झेडीनो असं सांगायचं ते.
सर मी ते
Filiform papilla. Filiform papilla are fine, small, cone-shaped papilla covering most part of the dorsum of the tongue. They do not contain taste buds. Small conical or cylindrical projection and the characteristic feature of filiform papilla, they give velvety appearance to the tongue. Next is foliate papilla. The foliate papilla are involved in the sensation of taste. Taste buds are embedded in their surfaces, are simple, light leaf-like projections or structure present on the lateral border in front of the circumvallate papilla. Then there are four types of papilla: circumvallate papilla, filiform papilla, fungiform papilla, and foliate papilla. If we go previously, see the characteristic feature of circumvallate papilla are these are circular in shape and these are largest papilla among the all papilla. The next is fungiform papilla. These fungiform papilla are present on the dorsum of the tongue. Next is filiform papilla. This is also called as cone papilla or cone, because of they are having cone shape, and the most characteristic feature of filiform papilla is it gives velvety appearance to the tongue. Then foliate papilla. The foliate papilla are rudimentary in human beings but are abundantly or numerously present in rabbits. Next, muscles of the tongue. See here in the figure, muscles of the tongue, genioglossus is there, then hyoglossus is there, styloglossus is there, and hyoglossus, genioglossus, styloglossus, these are the extrinsic muscles of the tongue. There are four types of extrinsic and four types of intrinsic muscles are there. Then see here the muscles of the tongue. There are four extrinsic muscles and four intrinsic muscles. Four extrinsic muscles are genioglossus, hyoglossus, styloglossus, and palatoglossus, and four intrinsic muscles: superior longitudinal muscle, inferior longitudinal muscle, transverse muscle, and vertical muscle. Extrinsic muscles are attached to specific bony sites outside the tongue, and they move the tongue as a whole, while the intrinsic muscle have no attachment to the skeletal structure and they alter only the shape of the tongue. The basic difference between the extrinsic and intrinsic muscle is extrinsic muscle have external attachment while intrinsic muscle have no bony attachments. The basic difference in between extrinsic and intrinsic muscle is the extrinsic muscle have external attachments while intrinsic muscle have no bony attachment. Hence, extrinsic muscle move the tongue as a whole while the intrinsic muscle alters only the shape of the tongue. The next is extrinsic muscle of the tongue. See here there are four extrinsic muscle. One is genioglossus, this is hyoglossus, styloglossus, and palatoglossus. Then genioglossus. See here, I am moving this arrow along this genioglossus. This is genioglossus muscle. This genioglossus muscle arises from the genile tubercle of the mandible up to the tongue. That is genioglossus. Genio is the word for the genile tubercle of the mandible, and glossus is the word for the tongue. Then second muscle is hyoglossus. Hyo from the hyoid bone. See here, this is hyoid bone, and this this hyoglossus muscle origin from the hyoid bone and inserted into the tongue. Then this is styloglossus muscle. This styloglossus muscle, see here, this is styloglossus muscle. It arises from or originates from styloid process and inserted into the tongue. As name suggests, styloglossus from styloid process to the tongue. And this is palatoglossus muscle that is originates from the palatine aponeurosis and inserted into the tongue. Thus, this completes our extrinsic muscle of the tongue. And next is muscles, origin, insertion, and its action. There are four muscles: genioglossus, hyoglossus, styloglossus, and palatoglossus. Genioglossus originates from upper genial tubercle of the mandible, and it's inserted, its upper fiber inserted into the tip of the tongue, its middle fibers into the dorsum of the tongue, and its lower fibers into the hyoid bone. The action of the upper fibers of the genioglossus, it retract the tip, middle fibers depresses the tongue, while the lower fibers pull the posterior part of the tongue forward. Genioglossus muscle is called as life-saving muscle or safety muscle of the tongue because the main action of the genioglossus muscle is the protrusion of the tongue, and hence this genioglossus muscle is called as life-saving muscle or safety muscle of the tongue. The second muscle is hyoglossus, origin from the greater cornu in front of the lateral part of body of hyoid bone and insertion into the sides of tongue. Its action is it depresses the tongue, retracting the protruded tongue. Then third muscle is styloglossus, origin from the tip and anterior surface of the styloid process and inserted into the sides of the tongue. And the action of styloglossus muscle is it pulls the tongue upward and backward during swallowing. The next muscle is palatoglossus. Palatoglossus origin from oral surface of the palatine aponeurosis and it inserted into the sides of the tongue and it pulls up root of the tongue. Then see here the figure, there are four extrinsic muscles, that is two longitudinal, superior longitudinal muscle and inferior longitudinal muscle, and two more muscles, that is transverse muscle and vertical muscle. Now see here, origin and insertion, action and nerve supply of superior longitudinal muscle. Superior longitudinal muscle origin beneath the mucous membrane of the dorsal surface of the tongue and insertion into the sides of the tongue. Nerve supply by hypoglossal nerve and action, it shortens the tongue and makes the dorsum concave. Next is inferior longitudinal muscle. Origin from inferior aspect of the tongue, genioglossus and hyoglossus, insertion from the anterior part of the medial fibrous and action, it shortens the tongue and makes the dorsum concave. Inferior longitudinal muscle. Inferior longitudinal muscle origin from inferior aspect of the tongue between the genioglossus and hyoglossus and insertion into the anterior part of medial fibrous septum. Nerve supply by the hypoglossal nerve and its action is it shortens the tongue and makes the dorsum concave. Next is vertical muscle. Origin from at the bottom of the anterior part of the tongue, inside the tongue, and nerve supply by the hypoglossal nerve and action, it makes the tongue broad and flatter. See here, the four intrinsic muscle, that is superior longitudinal, inferior longitudinal, transverse and vertical. See here, there are four muscles: superior longitudinal muscle, inferior longitudinal muscle, transverse muscle and vertical muscle. This is our superior longitudinal muscle, and this is, see here, this is superior longitudinal muscle, this is inferior longitudinal muscle. If you see the superior longitudinal muscle, the direction of muscle fiber is in this direction. Okay. So what happens when this superior longitudinal muscle of both sides gets contracted, the dorsum of the tongue gets concave. This is superior longitudinal muscle. Next is this is inferior longitudinal muscle, and when see the direction of this muscle fibers, and this is inferior longitudinal muscle, and this when this inferior longitudinal muscle gets contracted, then it makes the tongue or dorsum of the tongue convex. Then come to the transverse muscle. This is this is transverse muscle and this is vertical muscle. What happens with the transverse muscle? When this transverse muscle gets contracted, it makes the tongue narrow and elongated. And this is vertical muscle. And when the vertical muscle gets contracted, it makes the tongue broad and flattened. So remember, the action of the superior longitudinal muscle and inferior longitudinal muscle are opposite. That superior longitudinal muscle makes the dorsum concave, while the inferior longitudinal muscle makes the dorsum convex. Okay. Then transverse muscle and vertical muscle. Again, the action of transverse muscle and vertical muscle are again opposite. That is, transverse muscle make the tongue narrow and elongated, while the vertical muscle makes the tongue broad and flattened. Okay. The next is extrinsic muscle. As already we have seen the origin and insertion, that is genital tubercle to the tongue, hyoid bone to the tongue, styloid process to the tongue, and palatal aponeurosis to the tongue. The action of genioglossus muscle is protrusion of the tongue. I already told you that genioglossus is life-saving muscle or safety muscle of the tongue because its main action is to protrude the tongue. The action of hyoglossus muscle is to depress the tongue, styloglossus to retract the tongue, and palatoglossus is to elevate the tongue. This completes the action of our extrinsic and intrinsic muscle of the tongue. Next is arterial supply of the tongue. As the tongue is highly vascular organ. Remember, tongue is highly vascular organ and the arterial supply of the tongue is by lingual artery. See here in the figure, this is lingual artery. This is lingual artery. The lingual artery is the branch of external carotid artery. This lingual artery is a branch of external carotid artery. The main arterial supply of tongue is by lingual artery, which is the branch of external carotid artery. And the root of the tongue is supplied by tonsillar artery, which is a branch of facial artery. See, this is facial artery and its branch is tonsillar branch or tonsillar artery, which is a branch of facial artery, which supplied to the root of the tongue. And next is ascending pharyngeal branch of external carotid artery. This is see here, this is external carotid artery and ascending pharyngeal branch of external carotid artery again supplies to the root of the tongue. And the floor of the mouth is also supplied by lingual artery. In short, in arterial supply of the tongue, we have to memorize or remember the lingual artery, which is a branch of external carotid artery, tonsillar artery, and ascending pharyngeal artery, which supplies the root of the tongue, and the floor of the mouth again supplied by lingual artery. This completes our arterial supply of the tongue. And next is venous drainage. See here, venous drainage. This is dorsal lingual vein. This is deep lingual vein. This dorsal lingual vein on the dorsum of the tongue. This is deep lingual vein on the deep part. Then the deep lingual vein is the largest and principal vein of the tongue. The two sets of the vein drain the tongue. That is, dorsal vein drain the posterior and lateral parts of the tongue and merge with the veins accompanying the lingual artery and drain into the internal jugular vein. And deep lingual veins descend from the apex of the tongue and combine with sublingual veins. If we see venous drainage, then this is dorsal lingual vein, this is deep lingual vein. This is dorsal lingual vein, this is deep lingual vein. Both this deep lingual and dorsal lingual vein forms vena commitans. See here, this dorsal lingual vein and deep lingual vein forming vena commitans, and this vena commitans finally drain into the facial vein or internal jugular vein. In short, I am again repeating, the deep lingual vein is the largest and principal vein of the tongue, and dorsal lingual vein and deep lingual vein form commitments, and they finally drain into the internal jugular vein or facial vein. Next is lymphatic drainage of the tongue. In lymphatic drainage of the tongue, the tip is supplied by submental node anterior two-third from the lateral border, it is drained into the ipsilateral submandibular nodes, and from anterior two-third centrally, the nodes drain into the submandibular nodes of both sides, and from posterior one-third, they drain into the jugulo-digastric nodes. See here in the figure, the tip drains into the submental nodes. The tip of the tongue drains into the lymphatics from the tip of the tongue drain into the submental node. Lymphatics from the anterior two-third of the tongue drains into the submandibular node, and from posterior one-third they drain into the jugulo-digastric node. All these nodes finally drain into the deep cervical node and jugulo-omohyoid node. In short, in lymphatic drainage, we have to remember a tip drains into the submental node, anterior two-thirds into the submandibular node, posterior one-third into the jugulo-omohyoid node, and finally posterior one-third into jugulo-digastric node, and finally, although all these nodes are drained into the jugulo-omohyoid or deep cervical nodes. This completes our lymphatic drainage. Then next come to the nerve supply. Then nerve supply, this is, see here, motor nerve supply and sensory nerve supply. The motor nerve supply, in all the extrinsic and intrinsic muscle, that is out of 8, 7 muscles are supplied by hypoglossal nerve, which is the 12th cranial nerve, and only palatoglossus is supplied by cranial root of accessory nerve via vagus nerve. So in motor nerve supply, all the extrinsic and intrinsic muscle except palatoglossus is supplied by this hypoglossal nerve, which is 12th cranial nerve, and only palatoglossus, which is supplied by cranial root of accessory nerve via vagus nerve. This completes our motor nerve supply. Now come to the sensory nerve supply. The sensory nerve supply for the anterior two-third. This part is anterior two-third and this part is posterior one-third. The sensory nerve supply for the anterior two-third is different and for the posterior one-third is different. In anterior two-third, the sensory nerve supply by lingual nerve for general sensation and chorda tympani nerve for special sensation. And for the posterior one-third, only the glossopharyngeal nerve for both general sensation as well as special sensation. See again, in sensory nerve supply for anterior two-third, there are two arteries. One is lingual artery for general sensation and chorda tympani for special sensation. And for posterior one-third, only one nerve for both general sensation and special sensation, that is glossopharyngeal nerve. Again, come to the nerve supply, motor nerve. All the extrinsic and intrinsic muscles of the tongue are supplied by hypoglossal nerve, that is 12th cranial nerve, only except one nerve, that is palatoglossus, also which is supplied by cranial root of accessory nerve via vagus nerve. Then sensory nerve. Sensory nerve supply, anterior to third part is supplied by chorda tympani and for special sensation, and lingual nerve for general sensation, and in glossopharyngeal nerve both the general and special sensation by glossopharyngeal. Then sensory nerve, in motor nerve supply, already we know all the extrinsic and intrinsic muscles are supplied by hypoglossal nerve except palatoglossus. And in sensory, for anterior two-third by chorda tympani nerve. Chorda tympani nerve is the branch of facial nerve, and general sensation by the lingual nerve, which is the mandibular branch of trigeminal nerve. And for the posterior one-third, glossopharyngeal nerve is the nerve for both general sensation as well as taste sensation. Now come to the development of the tongue. Development of the tongue. The tongue starts to develop near the end of the fourth week. Anterior two-third develop from two lingual swellings and one tubercle impart, which arise from first is supplied by lingual and chord about anterior two-third of the tongue and posterior one-third. The posterior one-third develops from the cranial large part of hypobranchial eminence, that is from the third branchial arch. and it is supplied by glossopharyngeal nerve. And posteriormost part, the posteriormost part develops from the fourth branchial arch and it is supplied by superior laryngeal nerve. The connective tissue develops from the local massive calme, while the muscles develops from occipital myotomes. In development of anatomy, we have to remember, or in short, it develops near the end of the fourth week. Then anterior two-third develops from uh, first branchial arch, posterior one-third from the third branchial arch, and posteriormost part from the fourth branchial arch. Connective tissue develops from the mesenchyme, local mesenchyme, while the muscles develops from occipital myotomes. Now, come to the histology. In histology, mucosa stratified forms epithelium on both surfaces and the dorsal surface forms papilla. In submucosa has minor salivary glands that secrete both the mucus and the serous secretion, and muscles are skeletal and striated muscles running in all directions. So in histology, mucosa include stratified squamous epithelium and papillae, submucosa having minor salivary glands and muscles, skeletal striated muscles. Next is histology. In histology, papillae are, we have already studied about all the papillas, circumvallate, fungiform, filiform, foliate, and next come to the taste buds. It is a center for appreciation of taste, located in the papilla of the tongue. In circumvallate, it is located in the groove, and in fungiform on the surface or on its lateral part. In filiform, taste buds are absent. Now, last, come to the applied anatomy. Stomatitis, a condition that causes painful swelling and ulcers inside the mouth. Second is glossitis or acute glossitis refers to the inflammation of the tongue, generalized ulceration of the mouth cavity, and next is undersurface of the tongue is good site for observation of jaundice. Undersurface of the tongue is good site for observation of jaundice. Then next is genioglossus muscle is called as safety muscle of the tongue. See here, this is fan-shaped genioglossus muscle, and this muscle is called as safety muscle of the tongue or life-saving muscle of the tongue. Why genioglossus is called as safety or life-saving muscle of the tongue? Because if it is paralyzed, the tongue will fall back on the oropharynx and block the air passage. Hence, this genioglossus is called as safety muscle of the tongue. And next is sorbate rate. The sorbate rate is taken sublingually for immediate relief from angina pectoris because it is absorbed fast because of the rich blood supply of the tongue and bypassing of portal circulation. Then carcinoma of tongue. Carcinoma of posterior one-third part of the tongue is more dangerous due to bilateral lymphatic spread. Then injury to the hypoglossal nerve. Paralysis of the hypoglossal nerve affects the tongue. It impairs speech and causes the tongue to deviate towards the paralyzed side. Genioglossus is the only muscle which protrudes the tongue. Then when we protrude the tongue, genioglossus muscle of both sides get contracted. See it in the figure, when we protrude the tongue, the genioglossus muscle of both sides get contracted normally. If the right side of the genioglossus muscle or hypoglossal nerve of the right side gets paralyzed, the tongue on protrusion will deviate to the right side because of its ipsilateral control. See here, this is normal tongue and this is paralyzed tongue and this deviates towards the left side. Then if there are various congenital anomalies like aglossia, that is absence of tongue at birth, or tongue tie. See here, this is tongue tie. Then the points to be remembered is all four extrinsic muscles of the tongue are supplied by 12 cranial nerve. Out of four extrinsic muscle, out of four 4 extrinsic muscles, 3 are supplied by 12 cranial nerve and only palatoglossus, which is supplied by vago accessory complex. And lingual artery is a tortuous artery. It is zigzag or tortuous as it moves up and down with the movements of the pharynx. Tongue is kept in position by its attachment to neighboring structure through the four pairs of extrinsic muscles. Circumvallate papilla are only 10 to 12 in numbers but have maximum number of test buds. The test from here is carried by ninth nerve. Nerve supply correlates with the development. Anterior two-third develops from the first arch, the nerves being lingual and chorda tympani. Chorda tympani is the pretraumatic branch of second arch. Posterior one-third develops from the cranial root of third arch, so it is supplied by ninth nerve. The posteriormost part develops from the fourth arch, so it is supplied by internal laryngeal branch of 10th. Sorbitrate is the drug for prevention of angina, is taken sublingually as it reaches the blood very fast by passing the portal circulation. And last is genioglossus is the life-saving muscle as it protrudes the tongue forward. This is all about as far as the tongue concerned, and I hope you all understood this. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello.